Hi, hello, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you my current top 5 foundations. I have pale, obviously, very cool toned skin, so if that sounds good to you, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we've got the hair clipped up and I have my selection, so how about we go from least coverage to most. For my roundup, that's going to leave Lys Beauty as the first one, and I wear the shade LN3. They do have a lighter shade than this, I believe. I think it's LG1, but that is too yellow for my skin tone, and LN is light neutral. And I thought it would be better to do this live so you could also see application versus like popping in videos of me wearing it, so things might get a little crazy around here, so I'm just taking one pump of that. I am going to apply it with a sponge. I will, in a little box over here, insert the claims and the price. Sponge is my favorite way to apply it. Of course, if you prefer a brush, go for a brush. Or the reason I'm putting this one as the lightest amount of coverage is because this one is the most easily thinned out. So let's do a zoomy zoom. It has a dewy finish and it looks really skin-like. The shade match is pretty good, especially once you get powders and bronzers and everything like that on. It's from here over, and I think it looks really fantastic. And this is one that I especially like for winter because it is so dewy, but it is not one that I feel like is like a 10-hour workday kind of foundation. But having said that, when it does wear off, it wears off evenly. It's not like you have a huge divot here and, you know, it looks good from start to finish. That's why it's a favorite. Kind of having a hard time picking which one is the next up in coverage, so I'm just gonna roll with this one. This is the Clover by Clove and Hallow Skin is in Serum Foundation. Now, don't let the squeezy little tube fool you. It's not a skin tint. It definitely is a foundation. It has the coverage. I am in the shade 1. Use the sponge again. Sponge again. And we'll go on the blank side. This you can build quite easily. It will get you there in such a little amount of product and time. That's where using a sponge really comes in handy if you're trying to shear it out a little bit. But if you want to keep that coverage, of course, use a brush. Alright, here is the Clover foundation. Looking nice. The shade is perfect, really. Definitely depending on what you wear underneath is how dewy or matte it's going to be. So I didn't have anything on underneath, and it's giving me a little bit of reflection. Pretty much on the same level as the LYS. But I do kind of find that this one lasts longer. They are pretty similar in price range, so it really just depends if you look on the ingredients and see which one you like better. Really, this one would be better for traveling for obvious reasons, but these are very similar to each other. Okay, foundationless again, and the next I would recommend is the Haus Labs Triclone foundation. I am in the shade 040 Fair Neutral. I love this foundation, and I didn't think that I would because everyone else was raving about it, like no matter their skin type, and I have dry, dehydrated skin, so I didn't think it would work for me. I am oh so glad that it does. What I like most about the Triclone foundation is that it's really easy to manipulate. So if I put on a mattifying primer, it's going to be matte. If I put on a glowy primer, which I usually do, it's going to be glowy. This one lasts the best. Out of all these I'm going to mention today, this one lasts the best. I feel really confident saying that. Fair Neutral does have a bit of yellow to it, but what that yellow is doing is really knocking back a lot of the redness. I just love it so much. It looks good with a brush, it looks good with a sponge. You could literally rub it in with your fingers. It doesn't make my skin feel tight and just like a total lack of hydration. And the longer you wear it, the better it's going to look. It really mimics skin in that way. It's expensive, but I love it. Like, would repurchase over and over again, would recommend for special events, special occasions, weddings, holidays, birthday parties, maybe even childbirth. Like, that's how much I love this foundation. That's a bit extreme, but you know what I mean. Like, this is definitely number one in this category. I'll rate them all at the end. They're all favorites. That's the main point, okay? And I'm going to continue on the brush train because the next two foundations are cream foundations. I am taking the wonderful, the brilliant Cream Clay Ceramide foundation from Mob Beauty. I am in the shade Neutral 10, which I believe is their lightest shade. And I like to just pick it up straight from the biodegradable packaging. Another point to them. In this one, maybe I should have put in one of the lighter coverage categories. I just always assume that cream foundations have a lot of coverage, but this is easily buildable. This is not dewy. It's a, I would say, natural / satin finish. I usually like to put on an oil-based primer or something that really gives the makeup a lot of slip. And the shade is dang near spot on. So let's get up in there. This is the House Labs side. I mean, like, you can't see it at all, except for in my hairline. Like, what is this magic, Lady Gaga? And then here is the Mob side. It's so smooth. Like, I think it's smoother than the House Labs, and that's because of like this blurring technology they have. Looks like my skin. Okay, these are good for a reason. I am using a dreaded makeup wipe to wipe off in between foundations, but I'm also using the Iris and Romeo hyaluronic spray afterwards because I would never go in with a foundation without using a glowy primer or a moisturizer. So without adding the texture of a cream kind of product, I'm adding the moisture with just this spray. So if you're wondering what I'm doing in between, that's that. Okay, looking fantastic. I did keep on the Mob Beauty cream foundation because the next one is also a cream foundation, so it's good to like compare the two. I forgot to mention that this Mob foundation lasts on me, I would say, between 6 and 8 hours. It's pretty solid. The next one and the last one is the Vital Skin Foundation Stick from Westman Atelier. So fancy, so bougie. I am in Atelier 0, and I literally just like to spread this one on just because it's a stick and it's so easy. And you can definitely work it in with a brush or a sponge. I have used both. I just find it's a little easier to like spread out with a brush. A little more. And at first I didn't think I liked this foundation, but it was because I wasn't prepping my skin properly. I do, for this one, need to wear something moisturizing underneath, but I already pretty much do anyway. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, well, I want to wear something matte, it can definitely be worn just by itself. I might have a dupe on my hands that I never even realized. Between the Mob one and the Westman Atelier. Like, if you didn't already know which side was which. I mean, the Westman Atelier maybe has a little bit more yellow to it. It's like so minuscule. If I wanted to, I totally could add another layer, pat it in, you know, not swipe like I did with the first initial layer, just with that brush, and I would get more coverage. Same with the Mob Beauty one. I'm trying to like bobble my head in all directions to see which one is glowier or dewier. I think the Westman Atelier one is definitely dewier and more glowy. I have not worn this all day, to be fair. I've worn it for about 6 hours, and again, it's one of those that the longer you wear it, the better it looks, and it fades nicely. It doesn't come off in patches. And especially in terms of fading, a lot of that has to do with whether it matches the rest of your skin tone or not. Because, you know, if you're wearing something that's too dark for you, if some comes off, it's going to be that much more obvious, right? In terms of pores, The Mob Beauty one is definitely more blurring and smooths out the pores than the Westman Atelier one. But I like them both. I mean, I love them both. But hear me out. I think if you wear a really dewy primer, or like I said, like an oil-based primer, let me show you one that I like. I like this one from Undone Beauty. It's the Illuminating Primer Oil. I mean, when I wear these two, I wear this. And it is amazing. Glass skin, amazing. I think I'm going to say it because today it's true. I believe these are dupes for one another. This one, crazy expensive, ridiculously expensive. I just love the feeling of Westman Atelier. It makes me feel fancy and special. But if you don't get those happy vibes from packaging and things like that, you care more about sustainability and biodegradable packaging, which, yes, please save yourself like 40 bucks. I don't know, I haven't looked yet, but I feel like it's about 40 bucks. You cannot go wrong with Mob Beauty. Like, they have really just taken off, and I'm so thrilled. So, that is all the foundations. Okay, well, we're gonna have to just keep it rolling. I apologize. You might hear a lawnmower. My neighbors are mowing their lawn. Good for them. But we're gonna rank these really quickly from like my absolute most favorite of the favorites. Okay, number one is going to be the Haus Labs Triclone Foundation. It wins in terms of finish adjustability, how well it goes on the skin, how long it stays on the skin, and just everything. I do prefer a liquid. Unfortunately, like, this is not travel friendly, and I don't really like the price, but how it looks on my skin, this is my number one. And my number two is the Lys foundation. I find myself reaching for this quite a bit, especially when I'm filming and I want my skin to look nice and juicy and just like the natural color in my skin just to be knocked back a little bit, but not crazy much. The con, however, with this one is the wear time. I get 4 to maybe 6 hours out of this, but it does keep my skin nice and hydrated. I don't have to add anything to this one to make it look nice and hydrated, so I appreciate that. Number two, I am putting the Mob Beauty Cream Clay Ceramide Foundation as my top three, number three. And I'm choosing this one for number three because the packaging is biodegradable. I kind of have a personal attachment to Mob because I've met the owners, I've been invited to their lab, and I have really been a Mob fan since their creation. And they've been really accepting of me and my product ideas and this, and they respect my feedback. So that's amazing. I'm so happy and thrilled that they are getting all the hype that they deserve. So this one is going for number three for me, because I do need something that blurs out my skin. This just looks super effortless, and you can definitely adjust the coverage based on how much you put on. Everything sits well underneath it, just like with all of these, but you know, arbitrary scale. It's like, how much do you love one of your children, right? Okay, the next one for me, I will have to put the creams back to back. My fourth favorite is the Westman Atelier. I try not to reach for this much because it is so expensive, and I hope I never run out of it. But also, it has an 18-month shelf life, so I better be using it. I find this is really easy for travel, you know, just like road trips and things like that. It probably would not be good for an airplane. It looks really beautiful on the skin. It's just like solid, reliable. Love it. And then last but not least, remember, I love all of these. This is fairly new to me because I did a sponsored video for them a while back, and it absolutely shocked me how beautiful it looks on the skin, especially when you already have something glowy going on underneath. And I was like, why doesn't this brand have all the hype? Because they're making absolutely beautiful products. I really like to go in with their balancing oil first for that ultra juicy look, If you have dry, dehydrated skin like me, you're probably going to love this as well. Like, I like all of these for pretty much the same reasons, right? With this one, it's kind of similar to Lys. I would give this one just a longer wear time. Instead of like 4 to 6, I would say like 5 to 7. And there you have it, the quick little rundown of my top 5 favorite foundations. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for leaving comments and DMing me on other platforms. It means so much, and that's where I get some ideas like this one. Somebody commented, "Can you show us your favorite foundations?" And I was like, absolutely. And that's how we got here today. And should we do this for other products in my collection? Skin tints, blushes, bronzers, like I have favorites in every category. One more thing. Please share with me down below your favorite foundation. I would love to know. I love talking makeup with you guys in the comments. As always, please be blessed and be kind to one another. And we'll see each other again very soon. Bye.